Hey you guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to do probably my most requested haircut, which is my Shih Tzu Hammer's haircut that I do on him. It's kind of like a little bit different, but not really. I kind of do like what you would do on like a crested, basically, but the Shih Tzu version. I laughed to myself about it because I've always wanted a crested, and in fact I was in the market for one before Hammer was looking for a place to go. If you don't know, Hammer used to be a client of mine, and his dad was an older gentleman. He had dementia and just could not care for Hammer anymore, so I took him. So anyway, he is the first dog I've really had creative freedom to do whatever I want on. All my other dogs, they just get like a neat nut basically. So anyway, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tie this hair up. Now on him it's really easy because I just basically grab from ear to ear, right in the middle, just like so. I just kind of, he likes to hang his head, so I'll just kind of remind him and place my comb under his chin just to get him to stand back up so I'm not pulling his eyeballs out of his head, even though it's gonna look like I'm doing that anyway. Alright, so when I'm doing this, I'm pulling this hair backwards because I don't want it to flop in his face. I want it to stay back. So I kind of direct the hair backwards, and then I'm putting the rubber band in and I kind of push it backwards. So I do it a little bit different than the Shih Tzu I showed in that video doing her top knot. This is the hammy ham version. So this haircut, before we get in too deep, please know that this is a high maintenance haircut. This is going to require regular brushing here and on his tail, especially because his tail, you'll see we're going to leave natural. And it took me, he's been growing from a 7 all over into this haircut for about a year and a half. So it's going to take you a little bit of time. This is not a good haircut for somebody that does not brush their dog. I had, whenever I first started with this haircut and it started like really setting in and looking exciting, I had several clients try to do this haircut, and I can tell, I know clients think we're not very smart, but we can tell when you're not brushing, and everybody I had that tried to do this haircut, I would say within 3 grooming sessions we had to shave the whole thing because it just gets really, really matted. A lot of Shih Tzus, I've learned, they like to rub their head on things, and they will mat this hair. Any scratching, rubbing their head, anything like that. So this is a haircut you're going to have to brush every several days. So since he's longer, this is a little bit easier. It's a little bit more when you're first deciding how to do the haircut. So I just kind of visualized what I wanted before it got this long and just kind of went from there. But we're just going to hold this long hair up out of our way. I'm going to go in, I've got a 7 Artero blade, and we're going to go around. This is the 7 blade we're going to use on his entire body, and then we'll use a longer comb, clipper guard on his legs. So again, I'm just holding his long hair out of my way, and this is more challenging when you are first starting this haircut. I will not lie at all. It's very hard to not accidentally take stuff that you wanted to leave. So just be prepared if you're growing a dog out into this. Now let me switch him around for the front here. See if I can get him to face you. Okay, so this stuff here, I use his growth patterns. You could even, since his hair is so long, you could, and if you're cutting like a long-haired dog into this cut, you could just tie this out of your way if you wanted. I'm just gonna hold it. But this hair here, they have like a cowlicky kind of area on their neck. So what I do is I follow that growth pattern. I'm gonna go down here, down the neck. This stuff on the shoulders, I try to get really good. I've been considering bringing up his neckline a little bit because he does get so matted. He cannot wear a collar either. So keep that in mind if you're somebody that likes your dog to wear a collar. This is not the haircut for you because the collar won't help that area, even on a 6-week schedule. Now for Hammer, he's obviously the groomer's dog. He gets bathed every 2 to 3 weeks. You see how I'm going like right up to this hairline? If I cut into it a little bit, I don't care. It's so long at this point, and nobody's gonna know. Except for you guys, because you just watched me do it. So, I'm just gonna take this stuff down on his chest, hold his arm out. Clippers are getting warm, so I'm just gonna quickly finish this up. If you're not a groomer, your blades do get very hot as you're working, so you've got to check them frequently and make sure that they are not getting too hot for your dog. Trim that, and then we will run the 7 over the rest of his body here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera so that this doesn't end up really, really long. But I will come back and I'll show you how much area, or what area I trimmed with the 7 blade. An important thing to note on a dog with this texture is that you really need to go in the direction of the hair growth. I see some groomers saying like, oh, you know, go like this and then like that and whatever. It's really in the direction of the hair growth. So you can kind of see his hair it goes basically backwards. It doesn't go down as much. So that is the direction I take it. Otherwise, it just ends up like super, super choppy looking. I also hold the skin tight whenever I'm doing this because he does kind of have looser skin. So that's basically, I'm going to run back over his body again in a minute, but that's basically all we're going to do with the 7 blade. We're leaving this area and that area out. You'll see why in just 1 second. Let me just switch out my blade real quick. Now we're going to take an O-comb, which is this yellow guard, if I can get it on my clipper. There we go. It's yellow clipper guard. And we're going to stand him up. Hold this tail out of my way so we don't accidentally trim it. I'm just going to run down his legs. Now, I don't care about this being too perfect the first time I run over it. Right now, you can kind of look at it like, okay, we're just knocking off the extra length to get a visual, but we will go in and fine tune those legs in a little bit. So, just like so. We're going to do all 4 legs like that, and then I will be back. Alright, so we ran over his legs with the yellow guards, and now we're going to use this dark purple, and we're just going to go straight down the legs like so. I'll take his leg, I'll get in his armpit with this. He never has mats in his armpits because I do groom him on a 2 to 3 week schedule. So I'm just going to take it like so, hold that leg down, or sorry, put that leg down and hold the other one up so that he kind of rests his leg how it's going to more naturally fall, and just use this purple to blend in the yellow to the 7 blade that we used. So another thing I'm going to do, put the tail out of the way, I'm going to go down the back of these legs here. It's that area that ends up matted a lot. And this also gives their legs a little bit better shape. So I'm going to go on the inside of the leg too. I already did it on the other side. Just like so. Make sure we're even. There's that. So now I'm going to go do his sanitary trim real quick off camera, and then we'll be back for his face. Alright, so the next thing I do is I'm going to shave his ears and in between his eyes with my 30. So what we're going to do, and the reason I do this, Cameron used to get really bad ear infections. He doesn't now, but I'd still like the shaved ears better. Just in case, so if he ever needs the ear meds, he doesn't end up extra greasy. Okay, so you can literally see our line from previous shaves. And it's so funny too because every time I show Hammer, people will be like, oh my god, I love his ears. And I know they're totally just talking about his head hair. That they don't even realize his ears are shaved. See all this stuff? He doesn't really grow a lot of hair on the inside of his ears. Like, I don't ever like really pluck them. Let's see if I can move him a little bit. Just didn't like that other angle. Ears, you really have to be careful because you can nick the inside. I have definitely done it. Okay. So let's get all that really good. Try to move that out of our way a little bit. Normally that's up in the tie, but I must have missed it whenever I was doing that earlier. Okay. Go back in and neaten that up with the shears. And then I'll just go ahead and show you the places on his face, and then I will come back and I'll do the other ear off camera, but that's basically what I do. Okay, so between his eyes, I'm going to use my half moon comb. This one's by Utsumi, but you can use whatever you want. I just really like this one for the between the eyes. So I'm going to brush all that up, and I'm going to kind of hold his head back, or yeah, his forehead, I don't know. And I'm just going to go right in between the eyes, very gently. I don't push in very hard when I'm doing this. And I'm just going to go backwards just a little bit, just to get in between that stop area. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to do his lips now. I do all of this stuff really good because it gets so nasty when he goes and drinks out of the water bowl. Same right here. He sees like dark hair right there. We're going to get that too. He doesn't eat wet food, but you will notice on your clients that do eat wet food that that area is always like really nasty. Some of this lip hair. I'm just going to shave that too, like he was a poodle. He just sucks that into his mouth. And he had enough dental issues when I got him. He's finally in the clear. Like I mentioned earlier, his last owner had dementia, and he would forget where Hammer was. And Hammer would get left in his crate for long periods of time. So he'd bite the bars in the crate. So let me see if I can show you. This tooth is completely broken. You see it's just like a little nub. In the front here, he's missing a lot of teeth. And then this side's good. He's got one good canine there, but he does have some dental issues from chewing on the bars of that crate. So anyway, I'm going to go shave the other ear and then we'll be back. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is just take some curved shears, and I'm just going to cut off everything that's hanging out past the ear leather on him. His ears are like really easy to see the ear leather, so I don't usually hold my finger in place, but you can. If you're worried you'll cut it, you can hold it like this, just so that only the hair is sticking out, and just trim like that. Okay, now his muzzle's usually in pretty good shape because I trim that the most. I do baths in between his haircuts, and I always shape his muzzle in that time. Okay, but I am going to see if we can turn him towards you. I'm gonna just this stuff down the bridge. Sorry, it's really awkward to do on camera. Because when he actually let me use my groomer's helper rather than fighting with him. He never seems to sit the way that I need him to. There you go. He's kind of like, he's not a pancake dog, but he's kind of stiff like one, if that makes sense. So this stuff between his eyes, honestly, a lot of it is broken hair from him rubbing his face on my couch. So I would love if this stuff would go up in his top knot, but it keeps breaking, so I'm just gonna trim it. Maybe that'll help his hair lay back a little bit more, because his hair does like to flop in his face, and he is the type, and I've had a lot of clients tell me this too, that their dogs, they rub their faces a lot on the couch, so he messes up his little top knot pretty quickly. Okay. So, just gonna comb all this up. And these are my new, they're like double notch thinners from GSH. And I've been really enjoying these. I go under his eye here too. Nice and tight. Like I said, his hair, I do this so often that his muzzle doesn't ever really need like a full-on trim, but I am gonna just take my curved shears and I hold them up in like the direction that I would want the muzzle shaped. And pull this stuff forward too. Really the trick of any groom is comb a lot and trim. Just comb all different directions. Hold his lip out of my way because I want to get that chin nice and tight. We're going to go back in with our clippers in a minute here, so it doesn't have to be perfect yet. Okay. You can see a little more. He's looking at me. This is so awkward to do on camera. Oh, and what you can do too is comb this all forward. I don't know if he's going to need anything really in the front. So that's the area I keep the most trimmed because he is a stinky man. It's part of the reason he gets bathed so often is he gets stinky and he's always dirty too. I think what it is he tends to there's like one spot in my yard that there is red clay, and that seems to be where he likes to go potty and stuff. So I think that's a big part of the reason. He's got like one little lip hair that you probably can't even see on camera, but I can see. There we go. Now, once I basically have everything to where I want it, that's when I'm going to go in with just my thinners and just nicely blend all that out. Cheeks, this stuff right here. I keep his short enough that basically it's like his face that's keeping the pattern. Okay, I am going to turn him towards me for 1 second just so I can get this how you want it. Sorry guys, I know you probably can't see very well. Okay, so there's the muzzle. So let me go in. I like to take this off really, really short. So I'm actually going to use a 10. Switch my 10 out though, because I just used it on the sanitary. I don't want that to be hot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in like we were doing a poodle face. Except I just go with the brain. I don't go against. I do want this ear trimmed up really nicely. Okay. Careful getting in too close to this area, because if you get in a little too short right there, it can be harder to blend. These gem double thinners are really nice for if you do get too close right there and you kind of have a choppy line. Go in with those thinners. I kind of did it on this side, so I'll show you. And I'm going to just hold his lip. Get out his chin a little bit. Kind of got a double chin. So, just to the neck area with the 10. Okay, so let me comb out this stuff just to see where we're at. Make sure that all looks good. That's typical. I get everything brushed nice, and I'm like, let me take a step back and look at it. And he's like, let me just shake and mess it all up. Okay, so what I meant, there's my little blenders, is like if you see this like kind of harsher line right there, just gonna take my little blenders, just gently blend that out. Same thing over here. Very easy. All right, so here, we're doing really good on time. I've got a full day ahead. I just had a small gap, so I was like, let me go ahead and get Hammer done because he is, you see how I like put him down? I'm like, okay, I want you this way. And he's like, no, I'm gonna turn around. That's not the way I want to be. Stubborn. I think a lot of Shih Tzus are very stubborn. At least in my experience, I can be very stubborn. So anyway, me and Hammer actually have a photo shoot tomorrow that I'm doing for my 30th birthday. It's, we're dressing up as like Freddy Krueger. It's like a haunted house kind of vibe, but you're supposed to like dress up in costume and whatever. I'm a friend that's a professional photographer, so had to sign up when I saw her pre-sale for it. So that is tomorrow. So I wanted him to go ahead and get cleaned up today because tomorrow I have a crazy busy schedule, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to get him groomed because I didn't want him to be greasy nasty for his big debut. I have photo shoots with all of my dogs. Hammer is the only one, he was the last dog I got, so he has not gotten a photo shoot yet. And I've had him for about a year, so it was about that time, wasn't it? Just see a couple, I always see more spots whenever I start moving them around. So, never hurts to go back in, blend if you need to. Let's get this chick here. So you don't have a double chin. And I like to keep this all very, very short for practical reasons, because he gets nasty. So anyway, I'm gonna go do his nails and I'll be back to show you how I do his tootsies. Alright, so I went ahead and did the back leg on this side, but I'll show you the one on the other side. It'll be a little easier to see once he's turned around. So all I'm gonna do is I take my slicker brush and brush everything down towards the paw pad. I hold it back towards me, and I'll show you better on the other side, but anything that's sticking past the paw pad, aka the stuff that would be dragging the ground, I go ahead and cut off. Go ahead, his feet haven't been done in a little while, so normally I'll wait until I hold it forward to go in. Too short, so I'm just going to take his little foot, kind of hold it out in front of him. I like to just kind of rest it in my hand and just trim again using the nails as a guide. There we go. Now I'm going to take my brush, I'll brush it all one way. Now I'm going to go in with my thinning curve thinners, trim anything that hangs off one way, brush it all back this way, same thing. I'm going to kind of hold his elbow, or right above the elbow, stop him from bending his leg. Okay, so there it is in the front. Now, I brush up the back area. And same thing, I'm just going to kind of hold his leg up. Careful, there is a paw pad back there, so just make sure you know where that is. And we're just going to trim like so. I'm going to go up his legs a little bit. So we know this stuff is going to need to be trimmed. So, okay, there's that. Now I'm going to, and that's why we ran over with the clipper guard first, by the way, is that we had our guide. This area is probably hard for you to see on camera, but I don't like how that was laying, so just trim that up a little bit. I'm gonna hold his leg again. A lot of this is just them resting their leg on my finger or in my palm, the palm of my hand. There we go. That's really it. So anything that sticks out from that like perfect little teddy bear shape, I'll hold it back towards me. Sorry, that was my shoe. Got good grip in these bitches, honey. Don't tell me nothing. Alright. And again, just anything that's sticking out, I'm just trimming. And that's it. That's it for the front leg, and I'm going to switch him around and I will show you the other back leg. Okay, I don't remember if I said this earlier, so I do want to make sure I reiterate this if I didn't. This hair, the longer hair, is going to need conditioner. So every time Hammer gets a bath, he gets a conditioner too. This shorter hair on his body, you could get away with not doing a conditioner on, but if you have a dog with long hair, they have to have conditioner. Otherwise, that hair is going to tangle. It's going to be a freaking mess, and you're probably going to have to shave it, because if you don't, the hair will be very, very damaged. I was just looking at it, I was like, dang, he's holding his tail right in front of the camera. Okay. So this is what I meant by trimming everything that hangs over. I'm gonna hold his leg like so. And all of this stuff here that's hanging beyond the paw pad, we're gonna go ahead and trim it off. Okay. Now, take his foot and kind of hold it forward again. Normally I would go in with the, what's it called, blending shears, but his hair is a little long. I must have not trimmed him last time. I don't know the last time he got like a good trim on his body, so that's probably why. He's getting some real, I always call them his teddy paws, and they were some serious teddy paws today. So I just combed up this hawk area. I'm just going to trim it following the line of his leg. Same thing on the inside here. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing we did in the front. I'm going to comb everything to one side. I'm going to use our curved blenders. And just so you guys know, I do have a code with summitsharp.com. I'll link it in the description below, but if you use code Stevie, you can save 10% on all GSH products. I had to think about it because they changed their name. They used to be Gem. And GHS is a high school in my area, so that's where my brain always wants to go. And it is not Greenville High School. It is Groomer Supply House. I know this, pop quiz. Okay, so anyway, I'm just brushing this hair up and using our guide from earlier, being our yellow guard. That's our guide. I feel like I just kind of threw that back at you. It may not have been very clear, so that, where we clippered earlier with that yellow guard, that was basically our guide where we were setting the length so we can make sure all four legs are even. So we're just using that guide. Okay, so I'm gonna brush this area up to right where this leg bends here. I like to just kind of go in, trim that up. Okay. Gives his leg a little flare. See a little more right there I want to get. And that looks good. So I will be right back. I'm going to go do his other front leg, and then I will be back to show you how we finish it up. Alright, so just to finish him up, I'm going to get this hair out of my way, and we are, you know, earlier where I was like, oh, we're not going for perfection. Now we are going for perfection. So we are going to make sure going slow and steady and going with the direction of the hair growth. I have him on the groomer's helper in the front because he is one that likes to kind of turn his body, and I really need him straight for this part. I need his body extended properly so I can see what I'm doing. And because when they're kind of wrinkled up like that, their skin kind of mushes up and you do not want to accidentally nick them. So I'm just going to hold his skin tight here, following the direction of the hair growth. When they're short like this is really a good time to kind of see that direction. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can really see how the skin, or not skin, sorry, the hair naturally wants to lay whenever they're a bit shorter. You can tell when they're long too, but I feel like I can really notice when they're short. And he is done. So hair off the table before I let him sit. I'm not going to put any accessories on him like I would on a client dog because one, I'm desperately waiting for my Halloween stuff to get here, and two, as I mentioned earlier, this is not a haircut that you would want your dog wearing a collar or anything like that, so I only put a collar on him when we are about to go on, you know, to the vet or something like that, where he needs to be on a leash. They actually get this stuff right on his chest here. It sometimes gets messed up in the hound hammock, and it'll stick out. You see this little tuft? I just kind of go underneath their chin a little bit, just kind of tap them to let them know I want them to hold their head up. They obviously can't. We're not speaking the same language, so I like to do a lot more without speaking commands. Like, I will use speaking commands because I can understand to an extent, but mainly I do a lot of like kind of touch motions to let them know what I'm asking them for. And he knows, like, if I tap his chin to hold his head up. All right, so there's that. I'm just gonna brush this like so, and he is done. Let's see if he can look forward before he shakes his head, which is what I know he wants to do right now. And there he is. Like I said, this stuff is broken from him smooshing his face on the couch, but I'd like to try to grow that back out and tie it all up in his top knot here. But easier said than done. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this haircut. Hammy, they want to see your face. There we go. I hope you guys enjoyed this haircut, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!